make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Roar. Roar.
Colonel Ironsides here. 200 years I stood in the gap, fighting those who would harm my country. It was my honor, my sacred duty, so help me God. 9 times they took my life. 9 times I stood back up and made them pay. The freedom fighter and I could handle anything, but someone betrayed me. I was ambushed, made mortal, rendered powerless, and retired. They passed an amendment that made me a civilian before I left the hospital. For 50 years I watched my country change. Watched this work while erasing me from history. The day I quit my job, I powered up and discovered they lied about that too. I'll remind them of freedom. I'll remind them of duty. I'll remind them of their oaths and who they serve. I'll remind them while I'm shoving it down their throats.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey everybody, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Welcome to the Monday Night Show. Finally getting back on schedule a little bit. Here lately, I just haven't been inspired to do very much. Pop culture hasn't been inspiring me. Till last week, an iron lung popped up, and I have been predicting something like iron lung was going to happen, and so I kind of had to address it. You know, but I was, the whole Super Bowl halftime debacle kind of popped up on us, and I thought it was going to be pretty bad, and I knew there was going to be a culture war. When I heard that TPUSA was going to put something on with Bob Ritchie, also known as Kid Rock, and some country stars, some brave country stars that are going to go against their own industry and provide their services. And I watched them instead of the Bad Bunny thing. Then I went back just to make sure. I didn't miss anything. I went back and watched the replay of the Bad Bunny thing. And what was that? they basically made a production for the watchers at home that had absolutely no visual impact for the people who were paying up to like $6,000 a ticket to be there. And it was, they brought like in a field for fake workers to be working in. I guess it was something like a migrant labor, something or other. And most of the action like took place on the cameras, and you basically had to watch the screens that were all over the stadium to even see what was going on, because and somebody was like taking like videos of the cornfield, and there was like people all in the cornfield or whatever, the grass field or whatever, and they couldn't even see them, but they were there. And he's like, "Oh, what are those people doing?" Imagine it's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be at the Super Bowl halftime show. What are you gonna be?" I'm gonna be in the weeds, you know. Okay. Then the whole thing was in Spanish, and there's like several videos of people like watching the video of the show on their phone because you can't see it, and singing along with lyrics, and they weren't able to speak Spanish, but they were trying to be enthusiastic about the whole thing. And I saw this lady that's like, I didn't understand what he was saying, but I got the message. I appreciated the message. And it's kind of like, if you didn't understand what he was saying, then how can you enjoy the message? Anyway, obviously the point wasn't the music. The point was the political messaging there. And yeah, what's the TPS USA thing? And I enjoyed it. I got kind of verklempt a couple places. Looks like I lost everybody watching already. No big deal. But so what constitutes entertainment? What is important when you're putting on a show? And I believe to my very soul that that if you are focusing on anything other than doing the best presentation of your art, then you're completely missing the boat. Now, a lot of people think the Michael Jackson, he's done it a couple times, and both of the productions were pretty incredible. Michael was and is one of the greatest entertainers that we've ever had. If you want to, notwithstanding any other things that may be brought up, he's an incredible entertainer. And he had only one person in the 80s that could even rival him. And that was this little tiny purple man who went by Prince. And granted, a lot of stuff that Prince did was edgy. Was like sexual drenched. I mean, not all his stuff was safe for consumption. And I was pretty young in the 80s. But the older I get, the the older that the more I was kind of like looking into pop culture that I missed because I was kind of sheltered in the 80s. And it seemed like the person who grew the most in my estimation in that time I was catching up was Prince. I mean, my limited exposure to him, exposure being the word, was him in a buttless costume at the Grammys. And and it was kind of and then the whole symbol thing happened. Where he told everybody, "You can't call me by my by Prince anymore. The symbol is me now." And it was very unwieldy because the only way people could refer to him as the artist formerly known as Prince. And a lot of people were like, "What the hell is he doing?" Right? And he wrote "slave" on his cheek. Okay. He was the only one that ghosted Quincy Jones during the "We Are the World" thing. And then Quincy Jones had him brought up on stage when they did it when they did the "We Are the World" and all these stars showed up and was doing it on the stage at the Grammys. And Prince is kind of like, no, it's up there with a lollipop, sucking on a lollipop. And Quincy Jones kind of like trying to get him involved, offered him a mic, and so Prince offered him the lollipop. And you're like, what the crap is this dude, right? And then it comes out later, he was trying to get out of his Warner Brothers contract, which was pretty much one-sided. They catch they catch these people young, and then they give them like sign everything away to us, and we'll put your album out. And these young people who a lot of times have been struggling in obscurity for a long time are like, holy crap, I can be on the radio. And so they're like signed their lives away. It happens over and over and over and over and over again. And he had signed one such contract, and he wasn't happy with the splits. He knew how much money he was making them, and he knew what money was coming back to him, and he didn't like it. And so basically that whole entire weirdness was his attempt to make himself so unmarketable that Warner Brother would be forced to let him go. And so me being turned off by that, or put off by that, was the whole point. And he did this basically at the threat of his career, at the risk of his career. He probably lost millions of dollars of money doing this. And then the first thing he did once he got out of the contract and he went directly back, you can call me Prince again, that's my name again, was the first song he put out was "Money Don't Matter Tonight." Because it was never about the money for him. I found this compilation of that kind of sums him up a little bit. Well, the way he treated celebrity, the way he treated this elitist ideal. Some people are like, I'm one of the people. But Prince, the way he went was, I'm better than all of y'all. Let me play it.
It's safe to say there will never be another artist like Prince, not just because of his musical genius, but also because he served the best shade on a silver platter. We bow down to you, Prince, for having the best reactions ever.
Get off the stage.
Like the time he kicked Kim Kardashian off his stage in 2011.
Welcome to America.
When he didn't care about singing We Are the World. Or his subtle clapback to singers who lip sync.
So I go on stage and my microphone is on.
What?
How about when he let the world know he's not a believer?
What do you think of Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga and the new people?
Well, different strokes for different folks. I make music.
Prince also wasn't into artists covering his songs. And apparently he also wasn't into tech issues at his shows either.
Randy Phillips, Tim Lywicki, they run AEG. This is their building. So the buzzes you hear, you can talk to them about it.
But you know what is almost as legendary as Prince's music? His epic side-eye.
Thank you, Prince, for honoring me tonight. And thank you so much to the NAACP.
So that was his way of dealing. Other people were kind of like, well, I want to, the whole Bruce Springsteen, like, I'm one of the working people, while I'm preaching communism and living in mansions. But Prince was kind of like, the artist formerly known. Yeah, what a diva, yeah. But the thing about it was, the thing that it took me a while to figure out about him was he knew he was good. He knew how good he was, and he knew what he's capable of, and he just he was a diva pimp though, right? Yeah, exactly. Perfect. That is definitely perfect. But he would just hand stuff. He would just hand number one hits off to people. He liked Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles, and so he just threw off Manic Monday to her. He liked Sinead O'Connor, and so he's like, "Here's Nothing Compares to You." And the list goes on and on and on. But these were throwaways for him. He was something that he could just come up with, and they were like, he tried several times to kind of create his own people, create his create like all girl group, the Apollonia 6, I think it was. And he had a very kind of like mixed history. And the Charlie Murphy thing David Chappelle did, Charlie Murphy has come out later and said that whole thing about Prince being able to play ball, that was real. Prince could play ball, because you're looking at that, that whole thing, and it's like, there's no way that's real. But he's like, well, the whole like flapjack thing, that wasn't real. But the whole ball playing thing, the guy could ball. All 5'7", 5'6" of him, and he could dance like, James Brown. I mean, that's where he got those moves from. It was incredible. But there was but one of the moments I wanted to cover before we get to the halftime show was the fact that one of the most useless rags in all of print and media, and pretty much every musician will tell you this, is the Rolling Stone. You know, the media pushes it. The media like holds them up as some kind of standard or whatever. But musicians themselves hate, despise the Rolling Stone. And they decided that they were going to put out a top 100 guitarist of all time. Okay. And Prince wasn't on the list. People like Kurt Cobain was, but Prince wasn't on the list. And that galled him. That galled him quite a bit. And so he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame the same time as Tom Petty and Heartbreakers and George Harrison for being a solo artist. And one of the things, they do these compilations where they bring everybody up on stage. And so they asked Prince to be part of a version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, which is a George Harrison song. The guitar solo on it was done by Eric Clapton. And so they had a guy, Eric Clapton, do the Eric Clapton solo, like down to every bend, every slide, everything. And but then they went over to Prince. And this is the only version that I could find that didn't get me struck. But this is the isolated guitar. Here you go. Now, what you didn't see was he was just dressed as, you saw the pimp outfit. The guitar that he had, he bought at a gas station because he liked the pick guard. It had like a leopard print pick guard. He dug it. And so it was the cheapest guitar on that stage. I mean, it was just most people would think it's just a piece of trash, but he plays that guitar solo, one of the considered by a lot of guitarists as one of the best live solos they've ever seen. He did like multiple different techniques. He did the like bends. He did bends. He did slides. He did he did one hand tapping. Now, let me tell you, one hand tapping is almost impossible to do the way he did it, because he did it from basically most people, when they tap, to get the precision necessary to put the fingers in the right place, they do a two-hand tap. Vito Bratta didn't, but he's one of the few that did. But he would even turn the guitar to look at it. But if you watch that solo, he was doing the one hand tapping, just like the precision of it was just breathtaking. And but then at the end of it, he threw his guitar and strode off. But people didn't know where the guitar went, because for a lot of years, people thought maybe he had a cord or something he had attached it to, and it went straight up. But but watch this. Oh man, the pimp strut at the end. The pimp strut at the end. Now, got a comment over here. Let me get it right quick. PM. Okay. Anyway, but he did something. I mean, a lot of people didn't know where that guitar went for years, but he had basically part of the show, while he was doing the solo, he like rolled over to the stage and turned his back to the audience and kind of like fell off the stage, like controlled fall, because somebody like caught him and pushed him back up, and it turned out it was this big old bodyguard. Well, his bodyguard stayed out there, and so when he was done, he flips the strap off and just tosses the guitar, and then just strolls off. Evidently, he's done it more than once in concerts, but he did it so smoothly and so effortlessly that people didn't know where the guitar went for years. They was speculated, where the hell did the guitar did it go up? Because Jeff Lynne and Tom Petty and Donnie Harrison all looked up because they thought the guitar went up, and they're all like up there waiting for it to fall or come down, because they thought it was going to fall on them maybe, and he had thrown it out into the audience, and his bodyguard was told basically catch the guitar and give it to Oprah, and so he caught the guitar and gave it to Oprah Winfrey. Funny thing about it was not an act of friendship between Prince and Oprah, because he'd had some run-ins with Oprah more than once. He'd been on her show. She was one of the only people that ever kind of like bearded the line in her den, as it were. He's the only one that's kind of like pushed back against Oprah on her own show. And so they weren't really friends that much. It was more like he felt like she disrespected him too. And so he had to give the guitar to Oprah. But funny thing about it is you watch that and he's always just staring into the crowd like at one point. And on the front row was the editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone magazine. That's who he was staring at the whole entire time he did the solo. So we're not talking, we're talking somebody legendary here. Somebody who basically tolerated the stars that he was surrounded with. But when he died, you found fan interactions, just people coming out of the woodwork that said that, you know, he did this for me, did this for me, did that for me. And people talk about the meeting, you know, meeting him, you know, he was standoffish until, you know, he evaluated the situation and realized it was somebody that was a genuine fan. And once he determined you were a genuine fan, he was nothing but warm to his fans. It's almost like celebrity was a necessary evil for him. But the people who made him a celebrity were more important to him than the fellow celebrities, you know, because you see so often where once somebody gets up to that strata, they think that they're better than the people who are not known. And that you saw him kick Kim Kardashian off of his stage. And then it's like, what are you doing up here? Get off my stage, you know? But I didn't really understand that for many years because he's just somebody who does not advertise. Didn't advertise, you know, his activities. He didn't advertise, you know, what he was up to, what he was in, you know, what he was doing all the time. A lot of people found out that he released an album. And he released like 38 albums, but a lot of people didn't find out he released an album until months after it was out. And evidently it was a vault at the Paisley Park, his mansion, that has much more, a lot more material in it. We may be seeing further releases from him. I'm sure Warner Brothers has probably tried to get the rights to his music back. But one of the reasons why it came to mind was when I started talking about the whole Super Bowl halftime debacle that went on. It was kind of like I needed a palate cleanser. If you're going to evaluate a halftime show, you have to see the best halftime show. And the best halftime show, in my opinion, was Prince's halftime show. Look, there's a story attached to it, though. Okay. The day of the halftime show, the day of the Super Bowl, it just right before the Super Bowl started, it started raining, and we're talking a downpour. Okay.
Prince performed the greatest Super Bowl halftime show of all time. I don't care what anybody says. Before the game even started, Miami was hit with a torrential downpour. So Don Misher, who was the producer of that year's halftime show, called up Prince and was like, yo, do you still want to do the show? And Prince's response to that was, can you make it rain harder? Now that's a goated response right there. Fast forward to the actual halftime show and the rain just isn't letting up and everything is in perfect position for Prince to fail. The stage is made of slippery tiles, Prince is wearing platform heels, and his dancers are wearing 8-inch stilettos, so someone could have slipped and broke their neck. Prince was also hooked up to 3 live electric guitars during the show, so with all that rain, he could have gotten electrocuted. But the show was pulled off flawlessly, and Prince used the bad weather to his own dramatic advantage. And you can't forget him playing Purple Rain while it was pouring raining. I mean, that will forever be an iconic moment, not only in Super Bowl halftime show history, but in music history in general.
So yeah. Okay, you're gonna be up there on slick tiles with high heels, and rain is soaking you, and you're wearing electronics. Do you want to do this? And he's like, "Can you make it rain harder?" Because he was like, the opportunity is presenting itself for me to achieve a level of greatness that I'm capable of. But it's like, this is perfect. This, other people saw obstacles. He was like, this is perfect. This is a chance for me to do something legendary. And it was. Now, I ran this through the system, and it came back that I wouldn't get a strike. And but the live algorithm, there's really no way of knowing. So far, it's behaved itself, but I don't know. But I have to play this, and so if I go down, just give me a few minutes, or give me a minute, and I'll be right back. But I gotta play this. So this is the closing number, and this is the man, at his peak. This gives me goosebumps every time I see it. I'm not sure who the marching band was. It was from a HBCU, historically black college, and they've got the best marching bands. I mean, they got incredible marching bands. But it was just the way he handled the crowd. I've never seen anybody handle the crowd outside of Freddie Mercury at Live Aid like this. He had them. He was like using them to prop up his own performance. He was using the whole entire stadium as his backup singers, and in pulling them into the performance. It's giving them a shared experience. That's why that thing that happened last night was so subpar. It's because people couldn't just share the experience because they couldn't speak the language first of all. And secondly, everything was focused down on the field. And so there's no thought given to the crowd in the surrounding stands. There's no thought given to them. But Prince was like, this is my audience. And I'm going to entertain these people, and I'm going to bring them in. I'm going to make them part of the performance. And I've got to play this clip. It may get me struck, but I've got to play it. So bear with me if I go down. I'll be right back.
I never meant to cause you any sorrow. I never meant to cause you any pain. I only wanted one time to see you laughing, babe. Only wanna see you laughing, yeah. In the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Purple rain, purple rain. Don't it feel good? Only wanna see you, see you. Can I play this guitar? Y'all wanna sing tonight? Come on. I can hear you. That ain't good. Come on. Everybody, let me hear you.
Prince Rogers Nelson, ladies and gentlemen. If that didn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. But the fact that he pulled the crowd in and he's like, come on, sing with me, you know? The fact that he was engaged with that audience, you know, it wasn't, he was performing for them and people at home. Largest crowd he's ever going to have. And he rose to the occasion. I don't know what the, it's like 400 million people watching, you know, worldwide. And largest crowd and he pulls that out in the rain. Biggest stage, and he was there for it. He saw it as an opportunity. We're never going to see. I just don't see that we're going to see anybody like him again. Not with the way media is now. Because he slid through the door. He kicked the door open for himself. Came out of Minneapolis like he was such a big noise in Minneapolis that the mainstream signed him knowing that he was going to never be their boy. And most of the time people would stay away from that. But he basically was too talented, too loud of a voice for them to ignore, and so they had to bring him on the mainstream. He's the only artist to have Grammy, Uh, Oscar, and it's one other thing. But he like had Oscar for best song. He had a Grammy for the album Purple Rain, and he also had box office, a huge box office with that movie. Um, and while it was fictional for the most part, there's a lot of stuff about his history in there because he was born to a musician father who never achieved the success that he wished he could have, and resented Prince for being so talented, and knew that Prince was going to make it bigger than he ever would, and tortured his son quite a bit. And so there was a lot of truth in that Purple Rain movie, and a lot of that drove Prince to the greatness that he had. That kind of forcing his way through that childhood. Hitting those high notes live, yeah. Hit every single one of them live, man. Like you said, his mics are on. But one of the cool things he did that concert, you got to watch it if you've never seen the halftime show that he did. That was just the tail end of it. It was nonstop brilliance the whole entire time. There was a lot of dancing. He had his backup singer. I can't remember her name, but she was there with him. And he up to the day he died, he had this tight group of people around him that would have done anything for him. That kind of loyalty tells me something about a human. But he did not only did he do his songs, but he did All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix version, and then he switched to The Best of You by Foo Fighters. David Grohl said it was the greatest thing that's ever happened in his life that Prince would cover his song on the Super Bowl. But he just was a performer, man. And David Grohl later on talked about that he jammed with Prince in an empty arena one time. Prince invited him to jam with him, and where nobody could see but Dave, because he just wanted to do something with Dave. But what we're talking about here is we're talking about ability. This guy was a Mozart. He was a prodigy who shined bright for a long time until 2016. And the fentanyl overdose that a lot of people find very suspicious. Supposedly he wasn't a drug abuser. And so a lot of people who knew him were caught flat-footed by that. And there's a lot of rumors surrounding his death, as most people who have any kind of celebrity, if they die alone, there's usually a lot of narratives that float around. And fentanyl is such a dangerous substance that people who, even recreational drug users, could get caught by it. So people that just casually do something every once in a while could get caught by it. So it's possible that he did accidental overdose. Fentanyl is just such a scary thing. But what he left behind, performances that he left behind, and you can watch any of them. But those two performances are the ones I wanted to highlight. Go check it out. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. You got to see the brilliance of it. I wish I could have shown it on my show, but everything that I tried hit the copyright. And you have to excuse me. I have a emergency services down my road here. So if you're in sirens, I hear that about once or twice a day. They love that siren. They really do. Anyway, but what we're talking about genius. We're talking about ability. We're talking about he played like 38 different instruments or something like that. And he not only played them, but he played them to a level of professionalism. So, you know, I mean, we're not going to see his like again. I don't think. Maybe there's somebody out there that's got that level of talent. I don't know. But people like him don't come along but once in a generation. I mean, Michael Jackson's physical ability and showmanship was incredible, but Prince could do it all. You know, he could play instruments that make your jaw drop, or he could sing, you know, incredible high notes live in front of a 300 or 400 million people and go for it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know that I would have gone for some of them notes, you know, knowing that if I didn't hit them, that's history. I'm making history here. And if I don't hit those notes, you know, that's my legacy. And he hit every one of them. Went for every one of them, hit every one of them. So, for those like me who kind of discovered him late, you know, I pretty much discovered him after he passed. You know, I that I kind of listened to the narratives, and it kind of cost me a chance to watch him live or watch him create while he was still here. But when I'm thinking of what performance means, what the relationship between a performer and the people he's performing to, it's a sacred bond. It's important. These people are giving you their time. They're giving you their effort. They're giving you, if they're paying for a ticket, they are investing in you. He understood that. What happened last night? There was people paying $6,000 for some of them tickets at the Super Bowl. And all they got to see was like grass in the infield and this little stage that wasn't even pointed at them. And if they wanted to watch and see what was going on, they had to look at these screens around the arena or watch it from home on their phone or watch it, you know, watch it in the stands on their phone. And you see that. You see he did that whole thing with the fabric going up. That was so the whole entire arena could see him do that solo. So you got one that's focused on the people at home, and then you got this other guy who's focused on his audience. Giving to the audience, giving them a good time, giving them, entertaining them, moving them. Something happened to our entertainment. Something happened to their priorities. You're no longer the priority of entertainment. They're no longer trying to please you. They're no longer trying to move you from your life and give you a transcendent experience. They're focused now is entirely on themselves. Moving merch, being on the screen, being famous. Prince didn't like being famous. It was a necessary evil for people to hear his music. But you saw that video. He was not impressed by anybody. I think the world's going to miss that because our current crop of celebrity, they can't hold a candle. They just can't. Anyway, highly suggest you watch these performances that I highlighted. Highly suggest you find other ones. You can't find a bad performance from him. And just enjoy the Purple Rain. We'll see you next time. Follow the White Rabbit. Bye, everybody.